This call started very early this morning, just before 2 a.m. A male subject living in this residence called our dispatch center, saying that there were people in his house that were supposed to be repairing a gas line, but in fact they were eating his food. As dispatch had him on the phone, they could hear a single shot ring out. The subject said that they had shot an individual inside of the residence. Deputies arrived, gave the subject PA commands to come out of the residence, which he did. He was very cooperative, had his hands up. He was taken into custody. At that point, deputies go inside to do a protective sweep to see who is inside. They find nobody inside, in fact. It is apparent that a single shot was fired off inside of the residence, but it was not at anybody, as there was no one else inside of that house. But what deputies did find inside this house were many guns, perhaps 100 or more guns, and pallets of ammunition. There was a grenade launcher. There was a large safe inside the residence. Once they opened that, deputies found 3 sticks of dynamite, live dynamite, with a charge. So EOD was called in to disassemble and make that device safe. Because of that, many residents were evacuated from this area. We did an Everbridge of about a half-mile radius, which would encompass about 1,800 residents in this area, with an advice to evacuate. And then deputies went door to door in about a 500-foot radius, asking people to leave the residence until that device could be rendered safe.
About what time did that happen?
That happened about 10:45 this morning. That went out. Earlier in the morning, though, at around 6 a.m., because of the number of weapons in this house, and because that individual seemed to have symptoms of a mental health crisis, a judge did sign a gun violence restraining order, which allowed deputies, as well as state and federal agencies that are assisting, to confiscate those guns. So right now, what you're seeing behind me is an inventory of all of that weaponry and ammunition that's going to be taken out for safekeeping.
At this point in time, I realize it may be too early to say with the sheer number and the sheer volume of weapons we're seeing behind us here, but any idea if these were all registered legally to this man in this house?
Part of that's going to be really the investigation to see if in fact they're California legal, if they're legal to be here, are they registered? All those sorts of things will be part of it. So I can't really say at this moment.
Okay. Can you explain why the guns are now being taken from the home?
That subject was booked at the jail, not just on a felony count of negligent discharge of a firearm, but because of a mental health hold. So subjects that are placed on a mental health hold, what we normally will do is have a search warrant that we can go and confiscate those guns, so those individuals cannot possess those while they're on a hold.
But the biggest concern here was that you found 3 sticks of dynamite that were considered live?
Yes, and so clearly there will be more charges coming than the single charge that I spoke about earlier once this investigation, or at least preliminarily, is complete.
Yeah, and I just wanted to recap the first part of the story for the number of people that are now tuning into this Facebook Live, how this all started right around 2 o'clock this morning.
Just before 2 o'clock this morning.
The homeowner had called 911?
Yes, called 911 asking for assistance with people that were in this residence.
Okay, so he said there were people here that were supposed to be fixing a gas line.
That is what he told our dispatch, yes.
And then he said they were just hanging out eating his food?
Yes. So certainly there were many indications on the phone, and once deputies arrived, that this person was having a mental health crisis.
Wow, gosh. Can you talk about what we're seeing happening right behind us here on the driveway of this gentleman's home?
So right now what we're doing is searching this entire residence for any weaponry or ammunition that would be part of the confiscation for the gun violence restraining order. So they are meticulously going through this house, finding every weapon, cataloging it, and then they will take it and it will be stored.
Have you called in other agencies to help with maybe inventory or the investigation?
There are other agencies, state and federal agencies, that are here assisting us with this. It's common that they do reach out and lend their assistance for us, and they have done that.
This is a pretty shocking scene to see, just the sheer volume of weapons on this driveway laid out. Is this a little bit surprising to you as well?
It is. I've been with the Sheriff's Office for many years, and I have to say this is quite an array of weaponry that we don't see very often. Yes.
And knowing that your team was able to safely disable those explosives?
I would say that kudos to the officers who responded here, because they were able to get him to voluntarily walk out peacefully and cooperatively, so they could take him into custody rather than barricading. Our fear is also, and what can happen in these sorts of situations, is that individuals can barricade themselves with all this weaponry and will have a standoff that could have lasted some time. So the officers did a great job of diffusing this, and no pun intended, to have that individual be cooperative.
Yeah.
And then certainly then evacuate this community, at least in the nearby, so that they could render that device safe.
So this situation could have been a whole lot
This
worse.
could have been a very big deal.
Wow. Is there anything else you want to add about this?
No, just that there are folks that live in this neighborhood that have said that they thought something maybe wasn't right here. So if it doesn't look right or seem right, call us. We'll look and we'll be able to tell what's going on.
And those neighbors, were those calls made prior to this morning?
No,
or
it's just people that have said something while I've been out here
okay.
on this, and they thought maybe that there was something not right here.